Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a News in 2 Minutes special interview where we discuss the topics and information that you need to know. Today, we're talking with David Morgan of silver-investor.com. David was not only paramount in the return of the News in 2 Minutes to the YouTube audience, he has been a standing leader in the silver industry. He has also been interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, Fox Business, and CNBC, where his expertise in the industry has led others to rich investment through sound study and inside research information that cannot often be gleaned from other sources. David, welcome to the interview.
Oh, thank you very much.
Members of the audience have no doubt seen your website, silver-investor.com, as a sponsor of the news. Can you tell us what your website offers?
Well, a lot of free information, and there's more than the website. There's a YouTube channel called Silver Guru and a Twitter feed at Silver Guru 22, but the website offers basically free articles that were written from the early 2000s, my work included, and those of Charles Savoy, who's probably the best researcher on what might be classified the conspiratorial side of the silver story, which has to do with the suppression of silver as a monetary asset. So there's a wealth of information, and then of course we post interviews such as this on the main page. There's a lot of research. So that's what's on the site for free. And then there's, of course, a login section that's for members only that has 3 different levels. And that's all explained on the right-hand side of the website. And we also offer a 30-day free trial money-back guarantee. So someone that's not sure can go ahead, log in, and find everything that's in the members only part of the website. And if they're not satisfied, they get a return of their money. No questions asked, 30 days into it. Or prior to that.
Yeah, we're members, but can you tell the audience just a couple of things that are offered in the member side?
Well, our best thinking is for our members. And so, as far as what are the short-term, long-term, and intermediate-term moves, for example, this one coming up, we have some insights into silver in the Russian market. What the Russians think about the silver market. Do they invest? What are the penalties? Is there value-added tax? How much is it? Are coins different than bars? What's the perception of silver versus gold? And this is something that you're not going to get probably from any other website in the silver market. Of course, we reserve that for our members, but that's an example. Of course, on the stock side, we have probably one of the best teams as far as being doing truthful analytics on these companies, and we do not specialize in the speculative side, although we do have speculations. We balance the portfolio among top tier, mid-tier, and speculative situations, which is the best way to approach any market. A well-known, well-established company that has a profit year over year is a different investment than somebody that's out there trying to discover a silver supply. So those are, different risk profiles, and we know that, and because of that, we do what's best for our readership.
Absolutely. Now, what we found is that your member site is really the information that you can make moves off of, and that's what we've utilized it the most for. Now, David, speaking of the industry, we've all seen silver move in mysterious ways. Can you tell us a little bit about where silver stands right now?
Well, right now it's undervalued. When I started the website in like 98, then moved it to the Silver Investor domain in 99 or 2000, the market was very, very undervalued there. It was at a level that was on an inflation-adjusted basis, the lowest it had ever been in recorded history. And we're just doing a study that will come out again in the next report, the next newsletter, that talks about where is $16 silver today compared to $5 silver in the early 2000s. And the answer will astonish you, because we do it with what's called the true money supply. I don't want to give away the whole thing, but basically today you're buying silver at a very, very undervalued level.
We agree completely. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was fortunate enough to get my hands on a copy of David's new book titled The Silver Manifesto, which is now available on Amazon.com. The book has within it hundreds, if not thousands, of sound reasons to invest in silver, along with a real-world picture of where silver stands today and where it will likely be in the near future. Now, something that gives us a heads up on investing in silver and following the trends in the market. David, can you give us a synopsis of the book and what drove you to write it?
Well, what drove me to write it is because I really do care about other people, and I care about honesty. I mean, the whole system is based on a lie, and that's that you can get something for nothing. But yet the whole money supply system is based on creating something for nothing. And that hurts everyone, really. And so that's my driver, because I care and because I want people to know the truth. That's what drove me to this. As far as the synopsis of the book, I think it's best just to go ahead and on Amazon and look at the chapters. It's a very involved book. It not only talks about silver, but the money supply, the the debt bomb, how money is created, how bullion banking works. It's very similar to fractional reserve banking and on and on. So basically it's A to Z in the silver market with a lot of economics in it as well.
I want to read a quick review from one of the book reviewers, somebody who had purchased your book on Amazon and gave it a review. It says, David Morgan made an impact on my investing needs after the 2008 crash when I first began to invest in precious metals. People must begin to realize that nothing was fixed after 2008, and the next crash will be much worse. Mr. Morgan takes a simple approach to the history of money and how silver has played a part in it and what the future holds for all of it, for its use as an industrial commodity and as a means of exchange. It is time for people to educate themselves with this fine book. And I picked this review because it gives 100% credibility to exactly what I found while reading it. Do you experience a lot of people coming back to you with similar information?
Yes, the reviews so far have been very, very good, and that was the intent. You know, we wanted to cover not only the silver market, but the whys behind why you would be in silver. And with that, you have to go out beyond the silver market into the economic reality that we're all living under right now.
Absolutely. Now, in your book, you talk about several industrial uses of silver that plainly show its continued value as a precious metal, including the continued discovery of its health benefits and how it's used in the photovoltaic or solar industry. Can you tell us a little bit about how the world's use of silver continues to shape the market?
Absolutely, up until really about 2000, and that's just a round number. The use for silver was certainly in industry, but the technological revolution that we have all experienced from roughly that time frame, 15 years ago, where it's, you know, iPhones, iPads, and of course the Android equivalents, laptops, which are really becoming almost obsolete now because everyone uses a pad. They're lighter, they're easier, they're more convenient. But anything electrical or electronic uses silver to some degree. So, and that's just that part of it. I mean, the flat screen TVs, the plasmas, all this stuff that we have seen in an explosion in the electronics world is dependent on the silver market. So that's a demand side in industry that's really exploding, and I think will continue. On top of that, there's been a big movement into the green movement and this power problem with the oil situation being what it is. And I know oil prices are down. That's not my point. My point is that there are a lot of push to get green energy, and solar is one of the ones that is utilized in a great deal. In fact, Germany was one of the leaders in the industrialized world for solar, and the reason it was so pervasive in Germany is because it was subsidized by the government. In all reality, solar isn't the most efficient way to generate electricity, but in some instances it is one of the best because of location, as an example, depending on sun exposure. So it is not efficient, but in some cases it's very viable, and in some cases it's probably the best choice. But overall, there's been a big push to it. That's backing off slightly, but both India and China have a big push for solar as well. So that's taken a great deal of silver from the market. And could that be recycled? Yes, it could. Will it be? At some point, some of it will be. But overall, it's still a pretty high demand on the silver side that we didn't have, say, 15 years ago.
Now, research that I've done shows that technology as it stands right now and where we see technology going in the future could not exist without silver. Would you agree?
Yes, I call it the essential metal. And I also jokingly say, but it's very truthful, that the best technology stock you can buy is a bar of silver. There's no doubt about that.
No, you're right. Now, one section of the Silver Manifesto caught my immediate attention where you discuss the constitutionality of paper money. Can you tell us a little bit about the information you found most interesting while researching that section?
Well, again, it goes back to why I wrote the book. I mean, I've always just been born kind of an idealistic kid and has remained so as an adult. And when I learned about the Constitution in 8th grade and that, we were supposed to only use coin money and it would be gold or silver for payment of debt, I asked the teacher, why are we doing it in a manner that's not that way? Because I was 11 years old when the coinage changed from 90% silver to what I call the Johnson slugs. And so there wasn't an answer. I mean, I realized then as an 8th grader that, can snow indoors, meaning that the teacher tried to snow me. Right. So I've always, and that law has never been repealed. Certainly, it's been challenged in the courts, and it comes under the legal tender laws, which I don't have time to go into.
Sure.
But the idea is that the feds, the federal government, and the states have gone along with it. And it's easy to blame others, and I don't like blaming others. But the truth of the matter is simple: that they created a fiction, this legal fiction called a U.S. dollar. It has nothing to do with the way a dollar is defined. A dollar is defined as 371.25 grains of 999 silver. That's what a dollar is. It's a weight of silver. That's exactly what it is. But everyone's got these things in their pocket with the president on it that says dollar. They're not equivalent. And so that's something that I want to make people aware of. I'm not saying you should go into court and challenge, what is a dollar. That's been done several times, and unfortunately, the courts haven't really held to what the actual reality is. So we're living in this sort of what I like to call the matrix, but I don't need to go down that trail too far. I think it's more important to ask the right question than to give my answer on it.
No, absolutely. Now, with all this in mind, we all know that there is a grave danger in the reliance of such fiat currency as the US dollar. What amazes me the most is that people in the common public don't even realize that the paper that they consider to be worth real-world value is little more than just a promise to pay that in fact holds no true value in and of itself. Now, knowing this, it's amazing that more people don't hold physical metals, not just silver, but all physical metals, which have held their real-world value for both their rarity and their medical benefits for thousands of years. But for everyone, there is a starting point where they begin to move away from the governed and largely false promise of the USD and toward a real-world currency. If you were talking to someone who wanted to start somewhere, what would you say to the average person about what they can do right now to begin their lifelong journey in the investment of real value through silver and other precious metals?
I'd say get educated. I'd say don't take my word for anything. I'd say, you can read my book, and really it's me and Chris Marchese, and I should give Chris, the co-author, equal billing because he did a lot of the work in this book.
Sure.
But education, find out what money is, find out what the definition is, find out why all fiat monies have failed in the past. Ask yourself, why would the dollar continue if all others throughout all of recorded history have failed? Where is the dollar relative to when it started? The 1913 dollar at 100 cents is now worth 4 cents. Something's wrong with that picture. So these are the things I would say. Get educated and find out for yourself. Do your own research. And with anyone on the internet can do this quite easily. And I'd say with just a few hours time, maybe 3 as an example, you would have a very fundamental understanding of what money is and why they fail when they're not backed by something of value. And then you can go in and find out why the word money and silver is synonymous in 52 countries in the world right now. And you'll understand that money is silver and that it has been used more often, more places, more transaction have been conducted in silver exchange than anything else in the world by far, including gold. Gold is kind of the elite large transaction, nation state to nation state for war payment or for goods. It can be certainly for large purchases, but silver is the money of the people, and most people are unaware of that fact.
No, absolutely. What a lot of people don't understand is that I can take the physical silver that I own right now and go pay for something with it. People think that, it's a hidden culture of just investment and savings and keeping, but it's not. You can use it today.
Absolutely. There's no law that says you can't use silver to pay for something as long as it's a consensual agreement. I could, pay you to mow my lawn as an example or whatever. And certainly that does take place, but it's very, very uncommon for that to take place. But if I could just go on a bit, Brad, there is a solution to that even, and there's a friend of mine here that has a silver or gold or platinum palladium for that matter, precious metals debit card, where you fund your account with precious metals. It's a debit card, it's not credit, but you fund it with precious metals and or cash. So if you fund it with silver as an example and the price drops, you can still use the card by funding it with cash and use it in your daily transactions. But let's say the silver market goes up and you want to spend some of that profit, you can do that, and it's transparent to the other side. In other words, someone at Walmart or the grocery store or the gas station or wherever, it's totally transparent because it's just a debit card. Only you know that you're actually debiting some amount of silver to pay for the transaction.
That's an interesting link between the precious metal and the way it's used today. Do you have any part in that? Do you want to give a name out for it, or?
Yeah, first of all, you can, if you want more information, you can go to support at silver-investor.com. We'll pass it on. The gentleman's name is Dale Olmstead. Dale Olmstead is Olmstead. He's here in Spokane, Washington, and they do have a website, and they give it out, Brad, but I can't recall exactly what it is. But I think, Google's so good, if you typed in silver debit card, it might pop up. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, absolutely. Well, we're interested in seeing it ourselves. Now, here is something that I don't think gets asked enough. How important is physical silver in the hands of the investor? Kind of what we were just talking about. How important is it to not only invest in it digitally as a means of making a profit, but to actually get it in your hands?
Well, it's absolutely essential in my view, and this is a bias of mine because I've studied monetary history of basically my whole life. From that time I was an 11-year-old kid, I didn't dive into the books, but by the time I was in 8th grade and got the Constitution situation kind of perplexing, I decided to start looking at monetary history. So silver especially, but gold too, it's the only asset that's outside of what I call the maintenance or the financial system. So if you do a thought experiment and say there's a financial problem, there's a bank run or banks close or the stock market closes down like happened after 9/11, any of those type of situations, if you hold physical silver, you are holding real wealth outside of the system. And as you said a moment ago, Brad, you could actually use it. So this is something that most people don't stop to reflect upon, but it's the ultimate asset, meaning that most people say, well, silver's risky, the price goes up and down. Well, the paper price does go up and down. I'm certainly well aware of that fact. But the thing that you don't think about, or most people don't, is that that money, that silver that's in your hand, has been able to pay for goods and services for roughly 5,000 years. Name one paper currency that's been able to do that. The answer is none,
No,
zero.
Right.
Most paper currencies last about 200 years. So we're at, or well, actually 40, but they change and morph and everything else. I mean, the dollar has changed from being that silver coin that I described a moment ago to this paper fiction, and that happened August 15th, 1971. So we're a little past the 40-year mark, but I believe that the dollar will fail totally. It's already failed by about 96%, but the last 4 cents of value is probably going to fail eventually, and we'll see that probably in my lifetime.
No, I agree completely. Now, David, with all this in mind, there are thousands of people around the world that will take their first plunge in investment and in silver today. If one of our listeners is just starting out with metals investment or even just considering the move toward an investment that can last a lifetime, can you tell us how your monthly newsletter at silver-investor.com will help them throughout their journey?
Well, again, I think it will provide information and insights. If you're at the basic plus level, which is still a very, very fine value, you have the right to email us and we guarantee a reply. Now, sometimes replies we can't answer that because we do not only the physical metal, we do anything surrounding the commodity silver. I mean, and we also do a lot of other resources. We're not just silver only. We've done lithium, copper, gold, molybdenum, on and on. We've done things where we find value in the resource sector. So it's not silver exclusive, although we focus mostly on the precious metals. So it's insights that you won't get anywhere else. And you have the ability at the second level to ask us questions. So let's say you have a specific question like, David, I want to know if I should buy from X dealer or whatever. We can answer that question for you. So there's a lot of benefit for someone that's new or seasoned for getting our service. And again, a lot of people have a misperception, especially if they have never subscribed to a newsletter before, because some people overestimate what they are going to receive. Other people underestimate it. Anyone that's a seasoned newsletter subscriber that subscribes to our service is almost always overwhelmed. It's like, my goodness, you guys provide so much more than any other newsletter service I've ever had in my life. I can't believe it. Why don't you tell people this? And I try to. But, seeing's believing. I like to under-promise and over-deliver. But it's a value. We do our best. Certainly we're not perfect, but we certainly have others' interests in mind. I'm a big believer that the only way to really go through life is to give as much as you get. And I really do want to give the maximum ability of me and our staff to provide for our members as much as humanly possible.
No, I do think you over deliver. Absolutely. I mean, we're just inundated with the information that comes out each month. And you give a money back guarantee. And who else offers that? The ability to make real world questions saying, I want to buy from this. Is this a good idea? And the likelihood that they'll get a good, honest answer in return and a money back guarantee, you almost can't go wrong anywhere.
Well, thank you for that.
Now, can you tell us how a listener can sign up? Do they just go to your website and they'll see a sign up button?
Yes, if you hit the subscribe button, you have a couple of options. You can do everything over the net. If you don't like that, we have a phone number. You can call our guy in Phoenix, Arizona. He'll take your information over the phone for you. So you can phone it in. You can do it over the internet if you want. You can actually write a check and mail it to us. So, there are people that want the privacy or they don't want to participate on the internet. We get that. So we provide a methodology that people could do it in any manner that they choose. In fact, if you really want to and you want to pay for it in silver, we'll accept that as well.
Absolutely. That's a great option. Now, David, we can't thank you enough, both for your continued support of the truth movement through the dissemination of real news with the News in 2 Minutes, and for all that you have done and continue to do for investors around the world. I'd love to have you on again soon so we can go over the leading trends in the silver market and to give our listeners a firsthand glimpse into the world that continues its heavy reliance on this very precious metal. Do you think we can see you again soon in a couple of weeks, say, to catch up?
Absolutely, Brad. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, David. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this special interview with the News in 2 Minutes. Please show your support for David Morgan and all that he continues to do for us by visiting silver-investor.com, where you can sign up for his monthly newsletter and take your plunge into the exciting world of silver investment today.